Hello students, hope you all are well. Myself Gaganpreet Kaur. Today I'm going to deliver a lecture on the topic of Principles of Management, that is your second chapter from the subject Business Studies. In this chapter, you will study about meaning, nature and significance of principles of management, Fayol's principles of management, and Taylor's principles and techniques of scientific management. Before we start with the chapter, you should know the meaning of principles. Principle means a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as a foundation for a system of belief or behavior. An example of principle is a list of values set by a group of people. A principle is a general belief that you have about the way you should behave, which influences to your behavior. Now, for example, the principles followed by the Toyota Motor Corporations. Here, the principles which were followed by the Toyota Motor Corporations as a company. First one, honor the language and spirit of law of every nation. That means to follow the law of every nation in a good spirit, wherever you are working, and be a good corporate citizen. Second, respect the culture and customs of every nation and contribute to economic and social development. Like, if they are working in India, they will follow the culture and custom of India and to contribute the economic growth and social development by creating the job opportunities. The third one is to provide good quality and safe products and to improve the quality of life in the country you are working. See, the fourth one, fourth principle is to provide the best products and services through the latest technology. Fifth principle was to provide a good working environment within the organization for employees and laborers. Sixth, to maintain cordial relations globally through creative management skills. Seventh principle for Toyota Motor Company was to achieve the long-term growth, you need to have some business partners who will help you in research and creativity. This will serve the mutual benefit for both the partners. Now, so this was about principles before starting the principles of management. Now let's understand something about management. Management is not a new concept. You might have heard about the pyramids built in the Egypt. These pyramids were built in the Egypt by 1 lakh men for over 20 years in 2900 BC. Such a monumental work could not be completed without adherence to the principles of sound management. Now, let's start with the principles of management. The concept of principles of management. Principles of management are broad and general guidelines for decision making and behavior. They can be used by employees during the work and in certain specific situations. They also help the managers to take decisions and to implement them. For example, while deciding about promotion of an employee, any of the two principles may be used by the company. The first one being seniority and the second one may be merit. Now it depends upon the organization which principle it follows, whether merit or seniority. The principles of management are guidelines to perform an action. There is a cause and effect relationship in every principle. The functions of management are stable and well known to every manager. But while performing these functions, if there is any doubt, these principles will show manager the right path. Now, the principles may help the manager in performing these functions, like principles of management have been developed on the basis of observations and experimentation, as well as it uses personal experiences of the managers. These principles depend upon how they derived and how effective these are. Thirdly, management principles have gained importance with increasing professionalism of the management. Now let's differentiate between the principles of management and principles of pure science. The principles of science are very rigid and cannot be changed. But management principles are not very rigid as they deal with the human behavior and are to be applied creatively according to the situation. Second difference between principles of management and techniques of management. Techniques are procedures or methods which involve a series of steps to be taken to accomplish desired goals. On the other hand, principles are guidelines to take decisions or actions while practicing techniques. So we can say that techniques are steps and principles are guidelines. Difference between principles of management and values. A value is just that something you value, like honesty. Values are qualities or standards that govern the behavior of a person. Principles are rules or beliefs that govern our actions. The main difference between values and principles is that principles are based on a person's values. Thus, it is the values that act as the foundation for principles. So, while practicing these principles, one must need to follow the values first. And next topic, this is very important topic for this chapter, that is Henry Fayol. And we won't study about Henry Fayol, we'll be studying about the principles given by Henry Fayol. The principles given by Henry Fayol. Henry Fayol is known as father of general management. He contributed 14 principles of management. I repeat, he contributed 14 general principles of management. These are like this: division of work, authority of responsibility, discipline, unity of command, unity of direction, etc. Now let's start discussing these 14 principles one by one. The first principle given by Henry Fayol is division of work. Let's first understand this with the help of an example. In a factory manufacturing shirts, the work can be divided into small tasks, like one person has to cut the cloth according to the size, second worker has to sew the shirt, third worker will make the collar, fourth worker will put on the button, and the fifth will pack the shirt. So, by repeatedly doing the same work, each worker gets specialized in his work and can do it with the great speed and can also innovate the way the work can be done. On the other hand, if each of the 5 workers are given the full job, from cutting, sewing, collar making, etc., no worker will get specialized in all the tasks and will waste time and product. So, according to Fayol, the intent of division of work is to produce more and better work for the same effort. Specialization is the most efficient way to use human effort. So it means any kind of work, whether technical or managerial, can be done with great efficiency if it is divided into small tasks and the employee gets specialized by doing this time and again, which results in efficiency and effective output. Moving to the second principle, that is authority and responsibility. Authority is the legal right to give the command, order, or instruction and compel the subordinates to do a certain act. On the other hand, responsibility is the outcome of authority. It entails the obligation of the subordinate who has been assigned that duty by his superior. For example, if you have assigned a task of producing 10,000 units of a product X to a factory manager, then he should be given sufficient authority to order the raw material required for making 10,000 units of the particular product X. He should also be given authority to hire the required number of workers to achieve the target of production. With authority also comes a responsibility. It means that when you give authority to someone, it is his responsibility to complete the task assigned to him. For example, if you have given all the required authorities to factory manager to produce 10,000 units of product X, then if he cannot achieve the target, he should be held responsible for the same. So, with authority comes the responsibility. There should be a balance between authority and responsibility. If a person is given authority without responsibility, then he may misuse it. And if a person is given responsibility without authority, he will not be able to perform the task. I hope this is clear to all. Third principle given by Henry Fayol, that is discipline. Discipline means to obey the rules and regulations of the organization. For example, if there is a rule that employees will get overtime if on any day they work for more than 8 hours, the management should honor this commitment. Also, there is a rule that laborers' half-day salary will cut if they arrive late for more than 15 minutes. The workers should also honor this decision. This principle relates to the fact that discipline is needed within an organization for it to run effectively. In order to have disciplined workers, managers must build a culture of mutual respect and motivation. This management principle is essential and is seen as the oil to make the engine of an organization run smoothly. This was the third principle. The fourth principle, that is unity of command. The principle of unity of command states that each participant in a formal organization should receive orders from and be responsible to only one superior. According to Fayol, there should be one and only one boss for every individual employee. An employee should receive orders from only one superior and is accountable and responsible to the superior only. For example, if a clerk receives instructions from two managers to do a task, then he will be in a state of confusion that whose order he has to obey first. Then he may do only one task and give an excuse for the other task, or he may not perform both the tasks and give the same excuses to both the managers that he was busy doing something else or any other work, etc. Right? So that is why one person should have only one boss. So positive effect of this principle is that it helps to prevent a confusion regarding tasks to be done. What are the consequences of violation of this principle of unity of command? That means if this principle is not followed in any organization. Fayol felt that if this principle is violated, then the authority is undermined. The authority is undermined which means it will reduce the effectiveness of authority. Second, the order is disturbed and discipline is in jeopardy, which means discipline is in danger and stability is also threatened. This principle of unity of command resembles military organizations. Next principle, that is unity of direction. An organization has an objective, so all its units or divisions and employees should collectively move in the same direction to accomplish it. All the efforts should be focused and coordinated to hit the target. That is one head and one plan. Here it is about one head and one plan. Unity of direction means activities aimed at the same objective should be organized so that there are one plan and one person in charge. All the activities which have the same objective must be directed by one manager and he must use one plan. This is called the unity of direction. For example, if a company has two different divisions, one is dealing in textiles and other is dealing in automobiles. So each such division should have its own plan, its own in charge and resources. In no case the working of two divisions shall overlap. Now, there might be a doubt in your mind regarding these two principles, that is unity of command and unity of direction. So let's do some more clarity by differentiating these two principles. Difference between unity of command and unity of direction. The first one is, according to unity of command, one subordinate should receive orders from and be responsible to only one superior. That means there should be only one and only one boss, right? Secondly, if we see the unity of direction, the meaning, each group of activities having same objective must have one head and one plan. That means only one head and one plan should be followed. In unity of command, one and only one boss. In unity of direction, one head and one plan. Second means subordinate should receive order from only one superior, and according to unity of direction, the activities of each division should not overlap or coincide with each other. Third, implications. The principle affects an individual employee, that is subordinates. If we see the unity of command, this principle affect only individual employee, that is subordinate. Unity of direction affects the whole organization. I hope there will be clarity between these two, unity of command and unity of direction. Next principle, subordination of individual interest to general interest. The interest of one individual or one group should not prevail over the general good. The interest of an organization should take priority over the interest of any individual employee. The individual interest should be given less importance, while the general interest should be given the most importance. The interest of the organizational goals should not be sacrificed by the interest of an individual's goal. For example, in a class of students, there might be 2 or 3 students who do not want to study and want to have fun, but teacher has to look to the interest of the class. Teacher has to complete the syllabus and cannot waste the lecture for the fun of 2 or 3 students. So in this example, a teacher preferred the interest of the class in general rather interest of the individual students. So same way, this principle states that the interest of an organization should take priority over the interest of one individual employee. Next principle, that is remuneration of employees. The employees should be given fair wages according to the work done by them. Remuneration is the price for services received. Pay should be fair to both the employee and the firm. If an organization wants efficient employees and best performance, then it should have a good remuneration policy. According to FAOL, the work done by workers that they are maintained, they must be given a reasonable wage so that they can maintain their standard of living. On the other hand, it should be within the paying capacity of the company. If the employees are not fairly paid and they are unable to earn so much that they can lead a good standard of living, then there will be dissatisfaction in their mind, which may lead to employees leaving the organization. On the other hand, the company also has to see its financial position, that whether it could bear the burden of the wages or not. Next principle, that is centralization and decentralization. In centralization, the authority is concentrated only in few hands. However, in decentralization, the authority is distributed to all the levels of management. No organization can be completely centralized or decentralized. If there is complete centralization, then the subordinates will have no authority, that is, no power to carry their duties or responsibilities. Similarly, if there is complete decentralization, then the superior will have no authority to control the organization. Therefore, there should be a balance between centralization and decentralization. The degree to which centralization or decentralization should be adopted depends upon the specific organization, but the managers should retain final responsibility. They should give subordinates enough authority to do the task successfully. Next principle of management given by FAOL is scalar chain. Scalar chain. The chain of command is usually depicted on an organizational chart, which identifies the superior and subordinate relationships in the organizational structure. Now, let us understand this with the help of an example and chart shown on the screen. See this chart. Firstly, see the pink lines only. Firstly, see the pink lines only. Let's consider a situation where A is head of an organization and he has 2 lines of authorities under him. The one is A to B, second is B to C and C to D. Another line is A to L, L to M, and M to N, where A is the head and B is A's subordinate and C is B's subordinate and D is C's subordinate. Now, if C wants to communicate with M, firstly ignore these blue lines. If C wants to communicate with M, C has to follow the route. Which route C will follow? C will go, that is C to B, B to A to L, then L to M. This is due to scalar chain is being followed by the organization. In course of any formal communication, this scalar chain has to be followed without any violations. Now, the other concept is gangplank, which is only applicable, which is to be followed only in case of emergencies. You can see the diagram's blue line. In case of an emergency, C can directly contact M. This type of shorter route, that is from C to M, is called gangplank, so that communication is not delayed. If it is not gangplank, that is if we have to follow the scalar chain, then which order C will follow? C will follow from C to B, B to A to L, and then he will communicate from L to M. This procedure is known as scalar chain, and if C directly communicate in case of emergency with M, this procedure will known as gangplank. I hope this scalar chain principle is clear to you. So students, these were the 9 principles given by Henry Fayol. Other remaining principles we will discuss in the next video. Until then, try to understand these principles and learn the today's content. Thank you.